Hey there, gamers. Welcome back to Cryptic Gaming. I hope you guys have been having a wonderful week. So it is now the weekend, and I want to take a moment to encourage you to be grinding out specific materials for Season 3. We'll explain why we need those and also get your helm situated. So for those who are just coming in, you probably have noticed this new helm area here where you're going to come into your office and you have a factory over here where you can make your white skull products such as your rum and your gin here in the red aisles. If you go up to Lock Panjara, you will also be able to make your snuff and opium products. You've probably been introduced over to this. If not, you will be at the end of this video, but we're going to go over some other things as well. So this here is where you're going to pick up all of your raw materials. This big map is going to have where you can run factories, you can run liaison, roving liaisons, you can even go to islands and buy the stuff for silver if you choose. Okay, then you have what they call standard orders, which is going to be this desk here, and this is where you would be selling the finished products that you create over there for pieces of 8. I do not recommend selling anything. I recommend picking up standard orders and just going around and destroying the helm ships that are carrying raw materials that try to jump you, and you will be able to sink those guys pretty easy and get more raw materials that you can then turn into these finished gold products. Now, if you're trying to figure out, well, how do I make these gold products? I'm going to show you that real quick. So first and foremost, as you said, you will pick up the raw materials. You can get those here by sinking liaisons if you want to, or running fort plunders. You have supply deal rovings, and then of course just supply deals where you will go to a location and buy. The roving materials is a ship. You come out there and you can either buy from them or sink the ship and steal the materials and not pay anything toward it, which is the way I typically do it. Then you have your attacks. Now, out of all the different attacks you can do, fort plunders pay the best when you're looking at picking up things such as, 810. We got what, 610 over here, another 610. Typically, if you end up with a mega fort oost, and you're looking at 1,020 or more for each of those things that you can run over there. But that is not the only way or even the best way to get those helm materials. While that resets every hour, you can run that solo. If you have a friend, what you want to do is you want to come over here and you want to pick up some sort of a order. This is the standard order. You have standard and you have roving. Go ahead and pick up all 4 of them that you can grab. Do not load materials onto your ships. Just go out and sink the little ships that show up. I'm not talking about the roving ships. I'm talking about the little helm ships, the black and gold ships. You want to shoot those, pick up the helm materials. Now, you may be wondering, okay, well, that sounds good, and I see your contracts there, and someone had recently asked me, why do your contracts pay more? Here's where it gets important. When you're coming to your helm empire, this here produces pieces of 8, and it now includes certain parts. Like over here we're building eel's twine, over here we're doing some upgrade parts and things like that. Do not leave a ship sitting on this when you're offline. Currently, to pick up ships when you're offline are not working, and they're just deleting your items. So make sure that you come in and collect them. Now, when you're online, you can send a ship to pick it up, or you can pick it up yourself, and it should work just fine. But that's what I've been having to do here lately to get my stuff in. So this is where the magic happens. This is the upgrades, okay? So you have the Helm Empire. If you're wondering how I got to that, I just tabbed over right on the D-pad, bring us to upgrades. The Helm Empire is your base setup. This is the foundation for your empire. This is what's going to allow you to carry more factories and things like that. Now, you've seen a lot of those hostile takeovers and all that kind of stuff over here. You capture territory, and then whenever you go to, upgrade that, you can either pay to have it upgraded with pieces of 8, or you can then run another hostile takeover on top of it, which will then bump the level up for free if you open up this coercive growth right here. You see it on there. It's right after you gather 8 more territories. Then you go to coercive growth, and this will allow you to bring those levels up 1 for each thing. Now, if you've opened this up and you continue to hit, you go, well, it's not letting me go up to a level 3. I don't understand what's going on. Well, that's because you then need to come into the tier 4, the factions where you're at, where you can upgrade these different types of factories. An extra level here would be another level here, and this here would let you take them to 5s. So those all play in, but this is where you're going to start off to be able to get your start. Now, if you want to do your factories, we're talking about your distillery, which is in the red aisles, and then you have your your laboratory, which is over in the Indies, and I do recommend doing both. This is one of the cheapest ways to get your silver started, guys, and you're going to need a lot of silver in this game, especially when you start improving your weapons. So you can come in and just do 1 of 3 to begin with, but you want to eventually get these all the way up, because as you can see, it increases the amount of raw helm materials available for plundering forts by 35%. That's why I get more than you do, because I've got it 2 of 3. When it comes to scavenging prime targets or running these prime targets on hunts and stuff, we're looking at quite a bit of difference here. So 50% more, 50% more. Coming in here, we're seeing 20% more from supply deals. This here removes your mark for death. This here is going to give you 100% more for roving orders. So these are going to be some really nice things you want to increase and get that rank of. And like I said, you just kind of got to balance them between this and this up here, and eventually you want to make sure that you get all of it completed, as you can see here. Now, it should not take you anywhere maybe half, if even that, the time it took me to complete this, because they are now paying out so well with pieces of 8 on all these different types of items you can run in here. So if you just come in and run like Fangs of Farah and the Hunter Hunted, and then over here's Treacherous Turn, and then of course your Soul of Strength, you're going to be getting plenty of pieces of 8. Also your events that you run, like the Weeping Mother or any of these different types of events that come up every season, these pay out a lot of 8s as well. So they've really done a good job making the 8s a little more accessible to people, so you can get those done. Understand though, the helm is just the base beginning of your empire. This will be growing with faction wars as we go, guys. So hope that gives you a basic overview there. Now, I did want to take you out here and talk a little bit about some of the items that you need to upgrade here. So there's a couple things you can do here with your upgrades, and here's what I want to recommend that you focus on. So obviously, you come to Unita and you can buy some items. I want to show you what she's got here real quick. One thing I do recommend that you start getting, if you've got the pieces of 8, is buying that's right, Plague Dust from her and her sister. You can buy 3 a week. You can no longer buy multiples of all this stuff as much as you want. It's just 3 a week. They've put limits on everything now, so make sure you're picking those up. Now, if you want to make sure that you have plenty of Plague Dust, and you're going to want to have plenty of Plague Dust, understand Season 3 is going to be a poison season, meaning a lot of poison weapons coming into the game, a lot of poison armors coming into the game, a lot of things you're going to want to add to your ships, and you're going to need Plague Dust to do that. Now, where do you get Plague Dust? Well, I'm going to show you something real quick. First and foremost, go to Tier 1, go over to Blackwood, you go pick up a mission from him that's going to let you sink the plague ship captains, and it says bring me their heads. Okay, you want to bring him the heads. Do not bring him the heads. Just sit out there and farm that mission. That's not cargo. And then if you look at my warehouse here, I just keep 9 heads in the warehouse at all times. That way, if I decide I want to go and look for more Plague Dust, I can just throw these on, jump over in World Tier 2, gives the best spawn rates. So these are the Plague Bringer Captain's heads. I'm not going to take them to Blackwood and sell them. I'm going to hang on to these things. This will give me a natural aggro against those ships. Now, as those ships are coming for me and sending Plague Princes, I can sink them, and I can get the pick 3s, and I can also get the pick 2s, and I can get the Flus and things like that. Now, all of those, whether it's the Flus, the Picks, whatever, you're going to be able to come over here and you can salvage those. Now, we're going to come down here and find... And we got 9. I don't quite need 9 of those. So we got 9 Plague Dust out of 3 weapons. So that's not bad. So that's giving us some stuff. Same thing with those Lepic 2s and Lepic 3s. I believe I've got a few of those. We'll find them here real quick. So here's Lepic Ray 3, and it's ascended. They don't have to be ascended, but that's going to give us some Plague Dust. Could end up giving us some upgrade parts, as we just seen there. So we're going to see what else we get here. It doesn't always give you that Plague Dust, but sometimes it does. So that time it did not give us Plague Dust on that particular weapon. So like I say, that is how you grind that stuff out. You can hit the Pest, and he can give you between 1 and 2 dust, and he's pretty easy to take out if you use some of those torpedo builds I've shared, which is like Rama's Legacy, or even just do Hellgate Serpent torpedoes, just blasting him. You don't need anybody to help you with it here in Tier 2 or Tier 1. pays the same. Just blast him away with the torpedoes, and he's done. And you're able to continue on with your game and get plague dust that way as well. So totally up to you how you and your friends want to do it. But what I typically do is I grab those roving orders I showed you, which is where you're supposed to take some Gold Skull products and deliver it to a rover. I just load the contracts. I don't put anything on the ship, but I just sell out and wait for the fleets to come to me, and I will destroy those fleets, and I'll have those plague heads on, and it'll start to mix in with those plague ships. And the more of those you destroy, you start to see plague princes, and you sink those, and you're able to then get those weapons as well, so that you get that plague dust. So that's what you want to do, is get plenty of plague dust. Now, one other material you're going to want a lot of, obviously upgrade parts and things like that, and that's going to give you an opportunity to get all of the rest of this list here at Mega Fort Wolvenhall. So you're going to be able to get upgrade parts, you're going to be able to get ascension modules, you're going to get masterwork kits, you're going to get your plate iron, and then you're going to be able to, or your, I'm sorry, your deep iron plate, and then you also get your deep iron. So to get deep iron plate, now deep iron's pretty easy, just run it. To get the plate, what I've noticed is you have to destroy as many ships as possible in there while you're dealing with the warehouse, or I'm sorry, the central structure of the base itself. But if you destroy or at least get shots on all of the ships, you get credit for those ships, and it seems to me that I get more of the deep plate doing that, where I'm not just getting iron. So up to you how you do that, but like I say, focus on the Citadel, but also destroy those ships. It doesn't take long to destroy ships. Don't avoid them. Come straight into them, blast them, and then go right back to blasting the Citadel as you can. And that's going to give you where you can get that deep plate. And then the deep iron, you'll usually get between 5 and 7, and I get between 1 and 3 of the deep plate with that typically when I run that. So it seems to work for me. So those are some of the materials you're going to want to have. Now, talk about some of those weapons. There is a weapon I want you to be able to look out for. It is going to be called the Rot Mouth. That is going to be the new big in-game weapon for folks. Probably PvP, definitely PvE. It is a culverin that is going to be giving you a base poison damage, so pretty awesome. Sounds like it's got some really good effects to it with that Trunion furnace and stuff like that we have to help spread that around. Then you could add maybe some fire to that to really add in there, maybe some electricity. It's going to be a pretty awesome weapon from what it sounded like. And then there's going to be a new blighted torpedo, which is going to have some poison effects to it as well. Now, with the armor ascensions coming out, there's going to be some various things that are going to be happening to the existing armors already. They're going to get mitigation to poison. Not all, but several. We'll get mitigation to help mitigate poison, but we're also going to be able to ascend our armors. Now, perhaps we're going to come over here to this new item real here. Perhaps just like with the weapons, I imagine what we're going to see is armor such as Iron Husk 5 and Layered Skulls 5. We're going to get 4 ascensions because those are white armors. These are the basics. These are base armors here. So it's just like with the weapons. Bombard 5s, they're the most powerful, and then second most powerful would be the long gun 5s as well. So between bombards and long guns, they're both white weapons, and they really level in best. I imagine we'll see that happen here. But even a lot of these green weapons are now coming in where they come in a lot better. So like La Fortress, you get flooding and piercing. Perhaps we're looking at the Bastion, where you get burning and piercing negations that are pretty nice. Then we can add to that as well. And then of course your blue weapons and so on and so forth. But a lot of really good perks coming to that. You're going to be able to add some AoE, some defensive, some offensive stuff. You're going to be able to add poison mitigations. You're going to be able to have things that's going to allow you to add poison to your armors and stuff as well. So those are going to be some pretty cool little things. So like this one here, you can use the Wrathful Ward. It has that venomous vengeance. When you brace and smack into somebody, it did a 5,000 poison damage to them. Well, you could really build upon that as well with this thing, or maybe add some other negations, and maybe even add a healing ship effect to it to make it more of an Ouroboros. Or you could add like healing to Buccaneer's Oath, which already has this blood and gold perk. So you can really do some really cool stuff with some of these. I'm very excited about seeing what we're going to get here in season 3 on that. But like I say, when it comes to weapons, man, I'm going to show you my favorite weapons currently in the game real quick. Then we're going to close out here. It's going to depend on your furnitures. There's a ton of furnitures. I've showed you how to go to the codex many times. To get to the codex, you're just going to come. You're going to bring up your map menu, and you're going to tab over to. You're going to tab over to this book and go to Codex, and you're going to be able to find your furniture. So what you want to do is look at all your furniture, see what you have for what types of weapons. You get 6 furnitures on a fully upgraded ship, and you want to look and see what types of damage you can do with what type of damage, elemental damage or whatever. And then after you say, okay, well, I can do a lot of damage with, say, a fire base. So I come in here and I was like, okay, well, I want to get these fire culverin 3s. I've got a lot of fire base. So I put these fire culverin 3s, which has a burning 2 perk. That's really all it's got going for it, is burning 2 perk. And I went ahead and matched this up, put it on my frigate, and have a bunch of burning furniture. And it does a really good job. Now, I did add long arm. It's going to help give some electricity on there. There's a couple furnitures that work with burning and electricity, so that helps to charge this burning rate up quite a bit. Now there's also another one that works pretty nice, which is Basilisk 3. It's a little bit harder. It also charges up that crew attack, so this is a great one to use if you're using something like the Scrapper Station, where it heals you 8,000 every time you do a crew attack, and this thing here just keeps the crew attacks pouring on, so you're getting those free heals, plus you're getting whatever type of damage you end up putting on here, plus that piercing 2. Throw in a Trunion Furnace because you're using Culverin, so I don't know why you wouldn't. And that's really going to help you out. So as far as my favorite weapons in the game, as far as what you can build very easily and don't have to go earn anywhere, guys, my opinion is, once we bring up our item here, if you're looking for a good all-deck weapon, I really like the Fire Culverin 3s and the Basilisk 3s. And that will fill every gun port. Now, if you don't mind, I mean, these shoot, I believe they're 600 meters. Now, if you don't mind being a little bit closer, these are actually a little stronger, the Zamba 3s. These do a really good job. I use these old sandbuck for a long time. They help with crew attack as well. That's one of the tricks to keep a sandbuck afloat, is to continue crew attacks, constantly healing using that maintenance, Scrapper Station, guys. That's going to help you with that. Now, if you're looking for something a little more top deck, you can't beat a Bombard 5. These can be the most powerful weapon in the game, and then you just build it to match your furnitures. They're fantastic. Same with Long Gun 5s. They do a good job. You're giving up your lower gun ports because these are top deck weapons only, but they still do a really good job. And then if you're looking at torpedoes, you cannot go wrong with the Rama's Legacy. These are fantastic. You pick these up, you guessed it, from Rama's over at her store. And her and Scarlock both, they have specific weapons that they sell. Like, let's see here, see if we get to our top deck weapons here. So Scarlock has like Nong 9s and stuff. I didn't bother buying them because they're not even that great of a weapon. To me, these here, they hit harder to have a higher DPS base. Plus, we get 4 upgrades to it rather than just 3. So that's going to get you a basic, 2 of their advanced, and of course an epic perk on those things. So I just stuck with those, and same thing with Bombard 5s. And how you build those out and upgrade those or ascend them is going to be depending upon your furnitures. You have to find what furniture works best with workship. If you're using something like a frigate, any kind of furniture that you want to use should benefit your weapon, or you should be building a tank. The ship itself doesn't give any extra advantage to a weapon type at all. Now, when it comes to your auxiliary weapons, you can get that Spirit Caller buoy from the new event. They give you one for free, and then you can pick up some more over in Talak Panjara. It's a really great, even in PvP, it really is. You can add some extra things. It's not overly powerful, but it does do a lot of damage. And whereas Seafire mines are different mines and spring loaders that throw mines, typically once one goes off, the entire stack goes off, and you might miss some hits. With that Spirit Caller buoy, every hit targets the enemy ship, and that includes PvP, so that works pretty nice. So if you're going to go with auxiliary weapon mortars, Leopold 3 or the new auxiliary that's being sold over there at Blackwood, I use it mostly, and that's when I'm running forts. I'll show you, but I use it against ships too. It does a great job against those too. Warhammer is probably the best if you're looking at rockets. Let's see here. What is that called? It is called the Roaring Meg. So yeah, that's pretty nice. I'll be honest, I wasn't too keen on the Royal Sentinel. I guess it's okay. It's just not my thing. There's a lot of people that like it. It's not a bad one to have. I picked up a few. Same with these other armors and stuff, some nice stuff to them. I'm looking forward to Nova Armor and just being able to add some, maybe some sort of a healing effect to make it more Ouroboros with a really nice defense perk. Maybe add something else on there to have a little poison damage on it as well. Come season 3, we'll just have to wait and see what they give us. So again, those are kind of my favorites right now. Most ships I'm running, if you look at my Sandbuck, I'm actually currently running the Thunder Dragon cannons on this here, but on my frigate, I'm actually running the Fire Culverin 3. So where do you get these? These here are dropping like hotcakes whenever you take and run your forts. Every time you run a fort, you're running a plunder, so you get 150 points over here in tier 2, 100 in tier 1, and you can then come over and buy more. They cost 8 smuggler points, which you completed with the pass, so that's a good thing. I've been stacking these all season. We still got 5 weeks, so I've got quite a bit more of these I can get, so definitely looking forward to that. Now, one things I have noticed in the game is they have really made it so we can come in here, we can really grind out a lot of these materials. In the past, we weren't able to grab a whole lot, or it was only available for a week and things like that, so we're getting more chance to build these up. And it never surprises me that right after an event has ended, there's always people want to buy and whatever that most recent thing was. So understand, when I grind for me and I grind for those whom I play with in this game, and that means people that we're going to be getting into more of a PvE, PvP scenario type thing when Faction Wars comes out. We're going to be focusing on that, and these are the type of people that you grind with. I'm not just going to give to just random people who pop into Discord for a day or two and then they move on to whatever group they were in before. So a lot of people think that they can just pop into these groups and just get a bunch of free stuff and haul on, or they want to come in with their exploited materials and want to trade for that type of stuff. That's up to you how you trade with that stuff. We don't typically trade with people that do that kind of stuff. So we want to get to know you before we start giving you these types of weapons, because there's a reason we're grinding these. These are some of the better weapons in the game. But you have the longest distance of any gun using this Thunder Dragon cannon. It is fantastic. It has electric damage. It has that rendering cell breaks. You can really do a lot of stuff with this particular cannon here. Now, furniture's a lot of great furnitures out there. So there's a lot of things like we could choose increased charge rate of a crew attack, so that's one of the things I do. Well, the reason I did that is because I have Scrapper Station, which restores to 8,000 whole health after a crew attack, and this thing just keeps them coming. Then, of course, Ramrod Workshop, increasing the secondary damage and decreasing the reload time, which is fire, by the way, which is what the ship specializes in, anything with a fire weapon, so it does a really good job doing that. Then we did the ammo priming bench, which this here is for a siege weapon, so I'm not entirely sure why I've got that on here. I'm going to have to look and see what happened there. And then, of course, Strange Elixir. This here works with your crew ability range. So you can, again, you don't have to get too close. You have a little bit more range there. I'm not sure why that's on there. That's going to drive me nuts. Let's go ahead and change that out real quick. I want to put on, so we could do a copper fastening station to increase the secondary damage, which would be fire. So let's do that. Okay, so the Strange Elixir, that's not a bad one to have on here. Increases your crew attack charge rate by 15% as well. And then, of course, that charge source triggering Stormstruck. Now, like I say, my Sandbuck already helps with the blaze effect. My weapons have fire damage. I'm giving that secondary stuff on there as well. I want to focus on some of these other blaze effects and stuff that come down when you shoot the cells out, when the shells are damaged. If you're far enough away, the scatter of this particular weapon does such a good job with the demi cannons that it's hitting hull and cells. So you're really getting the best of both worlds with weak points and also triggering that Stormstruck when you hit the cells on a broken mass ship. So I do recommend them. And then again, like I say, when it comes to your frigates and stuff, what I'm currently using is some pretty base setups, guys. What I'm using isn't anything real fancy. So here we'll check the Paradox. This is one of my frigates I've got up in here. And this one here is using Fire Culverin 3s on the front and the broadsides. And on the back, I just tossed on an Urban Great Gun. Doesn't add or remove anything to the ship. It's just something I built some great guns and That didn't really, I don't like the unison shot, and you only have the 2 off the back, so I just throwed it on the back of it. It does a pretty good job of breaking sails if something's following you. And then I put on the Roaring Meg. This works great for forts. This is my fort frigate. It does a fantastic job on this thing. I really enjoy it. And then obviously with the furniture, I wanted to do a few things like bilge fire. This is going to give a 5% chance to recharge status effects, increasing the secondary damage of broadside weapons, which we have a lot of fire on these things as well, plus some of the electric and all that kind of stuff. So then of course Ramrod Workshop, again, that's going to help with your broadside weapons, your secondaries. Devil's Concoction increases secondary damage of burning weapons, increasing maximum range of burning weapons as well. Trunion Furnace, that's going to have 25% to spread that fire damage from these fire culverins around as well. Then Gunpowder Bench, increasing the damage to enemy ships with the blaze by 10% and increasing the duration with the sticky fuel station. So I've just turned this frigate into a fire ship, and let me tell you, it does a really good job. But it's not the only build for a frigate. There's a lot of things you can do with this ship. We'll show you another one here. I've never named this one. This is the Eclipse, I guess, is what they call this thing originally. So on the front, we have the Urban's Great Gun. This does a good job of breaking the sails. Okay, so once you break the sails, you're going to then want to shoot with the Thunder Dragon cannon. This calls down that extra lightning bolt for 10,000. But keep in mind, you got 6 gun slots on the front. They fire in unison, takes a little to get used to, but it's really not bad when you're aiming at sails. You hit it, takes the sails out, give it a slight turn, pop with Thunder Dragon cannon, calls lightning in. Usually the ship's toast at that point. Same on this broadside. Skurlock long nines on the back. Again, something to hit those masts with. Excuse me. And then we have the Spirit Caller buoy on here, which has been set up pretty much for just anything and everything that comes out. You know, we could take it update this thing a little bit, or upgrade it if we wanted to. But I've got a couple of them already upgraded. But let's go check out our other frigate build here. The Enigma. So I believe this is my torpedo build, if I'm not mistaken. So Thunder Dragon cannon on the front, because I want to fill all 6 of those, and I usually aim for sail coming up on a ship. That breaks the sails, usually causes a lightning strike, and then we hit them with the Rama's Legacy torpedoes, and this has a rupturing and 2 amplified floodings on these things. These do a really good job on taking some stuff out. That dire flooding's okay. I may go with rupturing. I haven't decided yet. I think I'll switch that over to a rupture probably. But yeah, it does a really good job of that. Then we threw the Ramos Legacy on the back, and then of course we got that Roaring Meg here on the top, just in case we got to take out a couple of the towers or something like that. It does a pretty good job on that. But it's kind of a balanced ship for being able to do a lot of different things. Now we can use this over here and do forts if we want to. I went ahead and threw a siege perk on there, and we've got a couple siege furnitures on it that do a pretty good job. I've taken quite a few forts with it, and I kind of enjoy the mix with torpedoes and stuff. But keep in mind, you're really limiting to being able to use that front weapon, and your auxiliary weapon as everything else is torpedoes. So it does add a little element of a challenge, but it still works pretty nice, I think. That's just my opinion. And then, of course, what type of armors. Most of my ships in World Tier 2, I'm running Ouroboros armor. To me, that is probably the best armor in the game at the moment. So, but it's going to be up to you. If I can talk here. It's going to be up to you on what type of weapons and what types of ships you want to use. Everybody has their preference. And I know everyone claims that their ship is the best ship in the game. What I would tell you is the ships that I use, they work best for me, and they work in every tier and every scenario that I want it to work in. So I'm not going to try to sell you on something that is garbage. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'm going to hop off here, and I hope that y'all are ready for Season 3 here in about a month.